Stay tuned to learn some important information about cruise ship excursions from America's top trial lawyer, Debi Chalik.
Welcome to the YouTube channel of Michael J. Swanson. Michael is the author of How David Beats Goliath and is the CEO of Advocate Capital. And now, here's Michael.
Debi Chalik is a founding partner of Chalik & Chalik, where she established the firm's litigation division. The firm's slogan is, "Our family fighting for your family," and she takes that to heart. She handles cases ranging from defective tire accidents to medical malpractice and birth injuries like Erb's palsy. Attorney Chalik has devoted her legal career to advocating for people who have been injured and disabled, and for families who have lost loved ones due to the negligence or recklessness of other parties. As a trial lawyer, Chalik brings a powerful combination into the courtroom, a personal commitment to advocating for her clients with a keen understanding of liability and personal injury law. A native of Montreal, Canada, Attorney Chalik received a fellowship to study law at Nova Southeastern University in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where she earned many awards prior to graduating with her Juris Doctor. In November 2013, Chalik was admitted as an attorney and counselor of the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit, and she has earned an award for excellency in trial advocacy. And now, here's Debi Chalik. Debi, thank you for joining us today.
Great to see you again.
Yeah, we really appreciate you and the important work you do in your community. And I know one of the areas that you specialize in is helping people who've been injured with regard to cruise ship tours and excursions. And you recently told me about a case that I think was very shocking and surprising. Most people think they're safe on these excursions, but unfortunately you took a case where that wasn't what happened.
Yeah, it was quite tragic, actually. It was a young couple. They traveled to Miami for their honeymoon, and they came from Israel, from overseas, and decided to board a cruise ship out of Miami. While they were on the ship, they were told about all these fascinating excursions at various ports of call, and ultimately decided to go on a zipline excursion, which was, of course, sponsored by the cruise line. And my client, who was a little weary of it at first because she's not known to be the most adventurous person, she asked a lot of questions. Are you sure it's safe? How do I know we're going to be safe there? And they, of course, reassured her on the ship, yes, it's safe. This is our excursion and we're taking you there and you're in good hands.
Right.
So her fiance was super excited to do this. He's more adventurous. And so she willingly went. And while they were on the excursion, unfortunately, there was lack of communication between the zipline operators at the various posts in the jungle. This was in the jungle. It happened in Roatan, Honduras. And they let my client, the young wife, go first on the zip line. And she was not visible because she was in the trees. And then they subsequently sent her fiance down on the zip line, not knowing that she never made it to the other side. And of course, they would have known that had there been communication between zipline operators at the various stations. And sadly, he literally crashed into her at approximately 50 miles per hour. That's how it was described.
Goodness.
Yes, by witnesses. And he died shortly thereafter in a hospital in Honduras, and she sustained catastrophic injuries head to toe, not to mention the emotional devastation. Quite frankly, we were happy we could help her in any way we could, and we got it resolved within 7 months from the date of the accident. So
wow. Well, that's scary, right? Because, many people go on, millions of people probably go on cruises every year, and they assume that because their large cruise line company is arranged for these things, maybe they vetted them or licensed them or something. What's the general situation with those excursions?
So I was actually quite shocked to learn myself that these excursions are not regulated at all by any kind of US standards or anything of that nature. These excursions are being done, at various ports of calls in the islands or, in South America or wherever it is that you're traveling to. And, the cruise line really just sort of hands over its passengers to local officials that are operating these excursions. And they get a kickback, they get some money out of it, and they kind of say, okay, now you're responsible for our passengers. We're done with this now, So there's really, really very little oversight of the cruise line towards these excursions. They don't really monitor it anyway. I learned that through this whole devastating process that I went through recently with my clients. You think they're going to have to adhere to certain safety standards, but that's actually not the case. And, the cruise line, told us through the litigation process that, well, we do have someone go out there every now and then and make sure it's safe, but that's really not so. Right. I think it's important that we all know that when you're going to do an activity that's sponsored through a cruise line, you can't assume anything. After what I've learned through this case, that these accidents, this was not the first time in Honduras. It actually had happened many other times at the same location prior to my client's accident. Just no fatalities, but there were some catastrophic accidents, and yet the cruise lines are still sending passengers there. And
crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. And I think my gut feeling is that, just because the people working on the ship may be aware of an accident, that doesn't mean that the corporate higher ups at the cruise line are made aware of it.
I know that you've had other cases that have actually resulted in laws being changed here in the U.S. with regard to parasailing and things like that. So hopefully this case and others like it will inflict enough economic damage on these cruise ships that they start doing a better job. So thank you. We appreciate the work that you do for your clients, for that client in particular, but the work that you do that makes the world a safer place by heightening awareness of these kinds of issues, and hopefully getting some of these large corporations to do the right thing and improve safety. So thank you for that. Thank you for the work that you do to help your clients, and thank you very much for joining us today.
You're very welcome, and I appreciate being your guest today. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Send your questions or comments to Michael at mike@howdavidbeatsgoliath.com.